Okay, get ready because today we are going to completely shatter the way you look at the universe around you. Welcome to this explainer where we're diving headfirst into some seriously mind-bending physics. Specifically, we're looking at how higher dimensional beings, aliens essentially, might perceive our reality. We're going to take a dimensional zoom out, moving step by step from the comfortable 3D world we know straight into realms where the human brain just kind of reaches its limits. So let's dive right in because I promise you by the end of this, you might never look at a locked door or honestly even your own life the exact same way again.
So think about the classic Fermi paradox for a second. We know the universe is absolutely overflowing with planets, so where is everybody? Well, what if, instead of peering across millions of light years of empty space, the aliens we're frantically looking for are actually hovering right next to us? Like, literally right next to us, just in a dimension we simply cannot see.
To get our heads around this, we have to look at physics, specifically within frameworks like string theory and this wild concept called membrane theory, or just brain theory for short. Picture our entire 3D universe as a membrane, just floating through a much, much larger, higher dimensional space that physicists call the bulk. It's like we're stuck to this 3D membrane like flat origami, totally oblivious to any intelligent life that might be operating in the shadow space, or the bulk right next door. They aren't millions of light years away at all. They are just a geometric step sideways into a direction we physically cannot perceive.
Now, to really grasp how these higher dimensional beings might see us, it helps to think about how we, as 3D beings, would look at a 2D flatland. Imagine a little 2D character drawn inside a square house on a piece of paper. To them, they feel perfectly safe, totally hidden behind their flat walls. But from our third dimension, we have the ultimate vantage point. We're looking down and seeing the walls and the inside of the house simultaneously. We wouldn't even have to break their walls down to reach inside. We could literally just reach a finger down from above and touch whatever's inside their house.
And here is the crucial, kind of unsettling point. We are actually experiencing a very similar limitation in our own world right now. We walk around thinking we see in 3D, but honestly, we're living an illusion. Our eyes are just receiving a 2D flat image on the retina, and our brain is doing the heavy lifting to reconstruct the depth. Because of this, you only ever see the 2D outer shells of your world. Think about it. You can't see what's inside a closed safe, and you definitely can't see what's behind your computer monitor without physically getting up and walking around it. In our 3D world, to see the inside of something, we physically have to break or move past that exterior shell. And this limitation doesn't just apply to space, it applies to time, too. Within our 3D framework, our experience of time flows in exactly one direction. We are completely 100% bound to cause and effect. You're born, you sit in school, you grow older, and eventually you take your last breath. We experience all of this strictly moment by moment, sort of like you're watching a movie frame by frame. You have absolutely no control over the flow, and you can only ever exist right here in the now. But if we step up into the fourth dimension, this whole setup totally changes. In 4D, time isn't this abstract flowing river anymore. It actually becomes a physical direction. So a 4D alien wouldn't look at you and see a moving, changing person. Since they can look along the entire time axis at once, they'd see your whole timeline instantly. They would see you as, well, a giant continuous space-time worm. Just imagine a star layered on top of itself at every single moment of its billions of years of existence. That is you. A frozen, twisting geometric object stretching all the way from the hospital bed where you were born, twisting through space to the exact spot you're sitting in right now, all the way to your final day. So, what does this all mean? It means the 4D alien perspective is radically different from ours. To a 4D being, your entire life is just an object. It's not a story. They see the whole video strip in one glance. And just like we can look down on that 2D piece of paper and see inside a drawn square, a 4D entity looking at our world can see the inside and the outside of your 3D body at the exact same time. It gets crazier. They wouldn't even need to break open a locked safe to get what's inside today. They could literally just reach back along the time axis to yesterday, back when the door was open, and grab it. To you, trapped in the present moment, the object inside the safe would just seemingly vanish into thin air. No way, right? All right, now we're going to aggressively zoom out even further. If the fourth dimension is just a single fixed timeline, the fifth and sixth dimensions deal with some absolutely staggering possibilities. We're stepping into the multiverse here. In the fifth dimension, we introduce the axis of alternative outcomes. Every single time you make a choice, your space-time worm actually splits. One version of you takes one path, another version takes a completely different path. To a 5D alien, all of these quantum outcomes and alternate histories exist side by side as physical directions in space. They'd see all your possible destinies laid out as one massive bundle. You aren't just one person anymore. You are a 5D forest, a colossal branching fractal of all the people you could have possibly become based on every choice. So to a being up here, fate doesn't even exist. It's just a giant menu of parallel possibilities. But even that infinite 5D forest is still constrained by the physical laws of our specific universe. Now, if we take that entire branching tree, collapse it down into a single point, and pull another perpendicular axis from it, we arrive at the sixth dimension. Here, the rulebook is completely thrown out. We aren't just looking at different life choices anymore. We're looking at universes with entirely different fundamental constants. We're talking realms where gravity might be 1,000 times stronger, or the speed of light is completely different. In the sixth dimension, human anatomy loses all its meaning because atoms might not even bond together. To a 6D observer, you stop being a branching worm and you just become pure abstract mathematical information linking your existence across different variants of physical laws. And then we hit the seventh dimension, which is where human logic pretty much hits a brick wall. If you collapse all those 6D universes into a point, you get a space that contains absolutely everything. The 7D space is the absolute frozen map of all logically possible realities. The very concept of action just completely shuts down here. Think about it. Action requires change, and change requires a familiar flow of time. But in 7D, nothing is created and nothing is destroyed, because everything that could logically exist is already permanently locked into this structure. It's the ultimate infinite library of all possible physical laws, every alphabet, every language, and literally all stories that could ever be written. Okay, let's take a breath, exhale, and come back down from absolute infinity to our own perfectly balanced 3D geometric incubator. We're stuck here on our cozy, three-dimensional membrane. But zooming back in leaves us with a massive, very practical question. If advanced alien civilizations actually are operating out there in the higher dimensional bulk or in other membranes, how do we say hello? How do we actually reach across that bulk to communicate with them? Well, our traditional methods definitely won't work. Light, which is what we use for our telescopes and all standard space communication, is trapped entirely on our 3D membrane. It literally cannot penetrate into the bulk. But gravity is different. Gravity can actually ripple and bleed through into that higher dimensional space. So, theoretically, we could use massive amounts of energy to create gravitational waves, basically sending a cosmic beacon straight through the bulk. Now, it would be incredibly expensive and require moving a totally mind-boggling amount of energy, but it is mathematically possible. An alien civilization out there in a shadow space could potentially detect our gravitational signal, and we could detect theirs. But until we master that kind of gravitational communication, we are completely, 100% blind to what lies beyond our geometric limits. Just remember that our universe, much like that drawn square on a piece of paper, feels like a fortress to us, but it's an entirely open box to anyone operating above us in the fourth dimension or beyond. Which leaves us with one deeply unsettling question to take away from this explainer today. I want you to look around your room right now. Who or what is currently looking at the inside of your 3D shell?